Good morning, everybody. In the class, we already talked about there are four different types of precedence relationships or logical relationships between activities. They are finish to start. This is the network diagram, and it is activity on node diagram. Finish to start. We can also interpret this as activity 1 is activity 2's predecessor, and activity 2 is activity 1's successor. And there are also other relationships, start to start, finish to finish, and start to finish. And in this class, we will only focus on the finish to start relationship, and this is the most common one. Basically, that means activity 2 cannot start until activity 1 is finished. So this will be the focus of this entire course. Now let's try to use what we learned from the previous class materials and try to build a precedence diagram. And those are the activities in a project. And this column is the duration for each activity. So for example, it takes 2 days, let's say the unit is days. It takes 2 days to finish activity A. B, it takes 3 days, and activity B's predecessor is activity A. Basically that means B cannot start until A is finished. So this column just shows the relationships. In the previous slide, we already talked about both predecessors and successors. One question I may ask you guys is, we all know in a diagram there's a predecessors and successors. Do you think we have to define successors in order for us to build a precedence diagram? This is a question to think about it. Or we only need predecessors that is good enough for us to build a diagram. Alright, I assume you guys have already thought about it, and I don't know what your answer is, but I just would like to tell you that once we have the information of predecessors, that should be enough. That should be sufficient for us to build a precedence diagram, because once you establish the predecessors, the successors are known automatically. So for example, in this finish to start relationship, we know activity 2's predecessor is activity 1. Automatically, activity 2 becomes the successor of activity 1. So in this case, this information is sufficient. And also, you can list the successors once you build the diagram. You know exactly the successors of each activity. So now I just want you guys to use the information shown in this table and try to build a diagram based on the building block of this finish to start relationships. I'll give you guys about 3 minutes, and we will come back and I will show you the correct answer. So try to pause it over here and do it on your own. Now let's build a diagram together. So here we've got our first activity, which is activity A. I'll put it right over here, activity A. And we're using activity on node diagram. That means your node is the activity. I would draw activity B and activity C as well. And both of them are dependent on activity A, and A is the predecessor. Let's connect them with the arrow. And activity D is dependent on activity B. I would put my activity D right over here. E is dependent on C. F is dependent on D. It's pretty simple. And G is dependent on B and E. That means there should be 2 lines coming into the activity G. Then the last activity should be activity H. Then activity H is dependent on both F and G. So that's the complete precedence diagram that is built from the information shown in this table. I think that's it for today's complete lecture set, and try to watch it before the class, before Monday's class, which is October 5th. I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye.